This is the greenhouse structure. And before we put all the paneling on, I wanted to walk through briefly and just talk kind of about the steps that you need to do in case you do this yourself. Most importantly is the foundation. Our greenhouse is going to measure 8 feet by 12 feet. And the reason we're doing that is because the panels that we're buying are 2 feet each. So we wanted to do a 2-foot span so that each panel would, work out. And the 2x4s were 8 feet. So we thought that was gonna be the easiest. 8 feet wide, and then 12 feet, we're gonna connect 2 4x4s together. At the very bottom, covered in black plastic, are 4x4s. So they already come at 8 feet. So we just bought 4x4s, and in the same big box store, we got rough black plastic that you can wrap all the way around. That black plastic is going to help prevent water seeping into the 4x4 and help keep moisture out so the wood lasts longer since it's in contact with the soil. We'll also keep out nasty bugs. Before we wrapped it, we painted it in spar varnish so that it's even more water resistant. So then this is 12 feet long, and all it is 1 8-foot 4x4. And then over here at the end of the 8 feet, we cut another 8-foot 4x4 in half, so it's 4 feet. And then we used a mending plate before we put on the black plastic. And the mending plate is holding the 8-foot with the 4-foot. So where it is, we tamped the soil to get it really good and solid. We used a level, and that's where you begin. So then the rest is just building the sides 1 by 1. So again, 8 foot high and 8 foot wide. And I did that just so I wouldn't have to cut boards. And with that, you just build a big square. Yeah, you're just doing a big square on the front. Now in the back, you need some sort of slope. We live in Southern California, so it does not rain very much. Do not go by what I'm about to say. I'm just telling you what we did, because depending on how much rain you get, you're gonna differ it. But we have an 8-foot rise in the front and a 7-foot rise in the back so that water will sheet off whenever it does rain. We figured that that's where we're gonna start. Dear God, if that ever is not enough, we're gonna take the back and lower it to 6 feet instead of 7, but for now, 7 feet. And there's lots of calculators that basically give you the angle that you're gonna need to cut the boards as they go down. So for example, this is 12 feet long. The rise goes from 8 feet to 7 feet. So in the calculators, they told us we have a 5-degree slope. Not a lot, enough for our application. You're probably gonna need more depending on, again, how much rain you get. So every 2 feet, we had to do the calculations of how far they had to go down. And I do believe it was 2 inches every 2 feet. That way you would get down to 7 feet. We stuck to the basics. So for every 8 feet, 7 feet 10 inches, 7 feet 8 inches, 7 feet 6 inches, and so forth. And then we built this frame in 2 parts. One 8x8 section, just like the front. You are gonna need some sort of miter saw because you're gonna need to be able to cut them at an angle so that when this horizontal piece is going down, you need these to be at a very slight angle so that they'll match up when that lays down. That was probably the most complicated part because you need a miter saw, but you just set it at 5 degrees and then it's fairly simple. And then we built a smaller 4-foot frame, again, not to cut boards, and that formed the little section there. So when you do that in all 4 sides, an 8-foot square, an 8 by 7-foot square in the back, and then 8 by 12 going down, you're gonna get the basic frame. And that's what we put up this weekend. We built them on the ground out here, and then we tilted them up and we bolted them into the 4x4 with lag bolts. Then after everything was up, I put on roofing rafters. The reason I did 8 feet again was because each of the roofing rafters would only have to be 8 feet across. Then for extra support on each one of these, I cut a 45-degree angle, screwed them into each of the joists. So we're gonna use polycarbonate panels on the outside and then just generic roofing panels that were super cheap for what they are on the top. I'm just placing them now and then I'll screw them in later. But what we're gonna eventually get is a much better, more functional greenhouse than the kit one that we bought ages ago, because the kit one is very small and I've never liked the fact that it doesn't get very tall. And the slope sides for me means that the tallest I can get into the greenhouse is maybe 6 feet there, but there's so much stuff in the way. It was just not working for me. So this is gonna be big enough for trees to hang in the back, almost full size, some of the special Anona and other things like that. But I just researched things that I like, things I thought could work. And with a miter saw, some patience, and some trial and error, we have a greenhouse. Has some vents that'll help cool air go in. I built it tall, so some of the rare Anonas and stuff can fit. They're getting beat up outside. That's the Campoamnesia I had to dig up. It looks like it's gonna die, but it's probably gonna recover. Full of other things going in, but very excited. It is a big greenhouse compared to the kit one that cost us about 5 times as much. And you can't really stand in except for the middle of the greenhouse, otherwise you have to duck. So the back of the greenhouse comes down just enough for rain to come off. Got this great fan off of Amazon. Pretty simple construction, and I'm having some issues with, you know, air leaks where the cold air is gonna get in, but all in all, for the first thing you built, not too bad. All right, that's a better shot of it. If I can build this, you can build this. You just need a miter saw, a lot of patience. You need an impact driver, exterior grade screws, and you know, the basics, measuring tape and a level and all that stuff, but you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And there's so much information online, you're gonna have a blast.